What is up, everybody? Robbie here with Bald and the Beard, joined along with Jacob. This episode is going to be very Star Wars heavy because last night we were able to go see Rise of Skywalker, and then we watched the season finale of The Mandalorian. So that will take up quite a bit of our episode this week. So, Jacob, what did you think of Rise of the Skywalker?
Well, it beat any expectations I had of it, and definitely feel like they picked up their slack of the last two movies.
Right.
Because a lot of people, didn't like those. I mean, I liked them, but they were definitely slower than the normal Star Wars.
Yeah, Force Awakens was really good. The second one was not that great. It was still good. I still enjoyed it, but it seemed like they pulled away, and I believe that was the one that J.J. Abrams did not direct. He directed Force Awakens, didn't direct this one, and they brought it back to J.J., and I feel like he knocked it out of the park with it.
I like how they added the more action to it, and more turmoil and everything like that with everything they put in.
Right, there was a lot going on in this part of the trilogy, the ending of the trilogy. You had a lot of really cool moments. Like I really liked when they were on the command ship or Kylo Ren ship, and you hear the Imperial March, which is Darth Vader's theme song. You hear it kind of played with, I believe it was like a stringed orchestra. So it wasn't your normal brass like the bomb, 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 ba-dum. It was played more light and like an overtone instead of like the darker undertone. So I thought the music in this in Rise of Skywalker portrayed the emotion that they wanted you to have, and I felt like that helped you get into the emotion that they were looking for. And I did see a meme. There's already tons of memes of Rise of Skywalker, and whenever all the Jedis were talking to Rey after she got knocked the mess out by old Palpy, all the Jedi voices were going through, and it was like it showed the picture of the Jedi who said it, so like Qui-Gon, Luminara, Anakin, and then Yoda, and then of course they're saying like the Jedi lives in you, take this moment, and then like this isn't what Samuel L. Jackson said, but at the end it showed Samuel L. Jackson. He said, "Kill those And so a lot of really funny memes. I gotta say that there were a lot of really cool moments, like when Emperor Palpatine just kind of like shot the Force lightning up into the sky, because that was always his weapon of choice, was the unlimited power.
Yeah,
that was his big thing, and to see it on a whole nother level of the Force lightning was amazing to see, just taking down ships. And then again, another really cool part in the movie was when all the ships Poe's like, I'm sorry guys, I thought people would come. And then you just look up and Lando's coming in with like
millions,
tons and tons of ships, which if you paid close attention to it, you'll actually see the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels, which is a TV show that kind of aired on Disney that kind of carries on. I believe it's after the Clone Wars, or after like episode 2 and episode 3, and then it goes into Rebels. So you get to see that ship come in. So a lot of really cool stuff was all jam-packed. We got to I forgot we are talking spoilers, so I'm sure Holly will sprinkle her magic in. With Rey, we actually got to see her be announced as who her pappy is, which was kind of a big announcement. What did you think of Rey Palpatine?
I was surprised. I actually read it before we saw the movie, so
I hate spoilers.
Yeah, but I saw it on there, and I was surprised because I didn't really think she was a Skywalker, but I felt she would be someone of significance,
And see, I would have been perfectly fine with her being just a random person, like, and that kind of goes off the narrative that you don't have to be from a prominent family in order to be a hero.
Yeah.
But I think it played well. You definitely got the sense that they were fixing a lot of issues from the second movie that the second movie left. So being able to see that, JJ was trying to pull it back to where Star Wars needs to be, and a lot of issues with this trilogy. This trilogy will go down as my second favorite trilogy. The older ones are my favorite. This is my second, and then the prequels are kind of for me. This trilogy, they didn't know where they were going with it. They didn't have the story fully fleshed out. So each time they'd come out with a movie, like they'd have an idea of what they wanted to do in the next one, and then on for the next one. They didn't have, kind of like the other ones, a set plan of where these characters would end up. So you saw a little bit of stuff being rushed, but all the hate that Rise of Skywalker got, I really did not understand, because I for one thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I'm stuck on movie lingo.
Technically an episode.
With so many Star Wars movies coming out, it feels like an episode. But with this movie, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought that JJ and them did a great job. What are your thoughts on the negativity that it got, and what were your thoughts on it?
I mean, I just think people, were set with the old ones and didn't really see any need to add on. But I mean, I think they did a good job overall, because I mean, I'd hate to see a good franchise end. I mean, I know this franchise is far from ending. They can go so far with the Star Wars universe and everything.
Right.
But I mean, I think they ended it well.
I did too. I think that they ended the Skywalker line. I think they ended it well. Which, with me, I've read a lot of the extended universe in Star Wars. I know me and Zach used to talk a lot about that on the Nerd Cave. There's so many options that they can do, and just because they ended this trilogy with the Skywalkers, that doesn't mean that they can't use these characters later on. Like, there's the Thrawn trilogy where, Luke Skywalker is the one that has to, him, Leia, Han, Chewie are having to fight this guy. And, they can bring these characters back and do, like, standalone things. But, with that being said, with as much as we've been saturated with Star Wars, I do believe that aside from The Mandalorian and aside from maybe Star Wars Rebels and a few of like the other animated or TV shows, I think they're not going to be putting out very many movies, hopefully. I hope they kind of take a little bit of a break. Kind of like what we've seen with Marvel, they haven't really been releasing too much after Infinity War, because it's just kind of become an oversaturation. So I think take a second, breathe, let it breathe, let everything air out, and then we go to whatever they have planned for us next. Mm-hmm. Which I know the next big thing coming out with Star Wars is going to be season 2 of The Mandalorian, which has already been confirmed, which is beautiful, beautiful music to my ears, because I thoroughly love the show. Literally minutes before we recorded this episode, I caught up and watched the last episode of The Mandalorian, and I, for one, thought that it was a very good send-out of how the show should have ended. It's a little bit of a cliffhanger. The entire show there's not been a bad episode. Usually in a TV show, you have, even in a 8-series episode, you might have one that was kind of lackluster. I really didn't feel that way at all about The Mandalorian. There's always been enough action. There's also been enough story development. And I've been perfectly okay with everything. What are your thoughts on this episode and The Mandalorian as a whole?
I mean, with the story so far, they filled in all the holes that there were already, with his background and everything. Right. I think the next season will just pretty much just cover them trying to find little baby Yoda's home planet and
to see
take care of Moff Gideon.
Do you think that he goes to the Yoda clan? We still don't know what to call them. Or do you think that there's going to be a Jedi that takes Baby Yoda.
Well, I listen to a lot of podcasts about, just Star Wars lore. And, the big mystery is, like, where does Yoda come from? What are his people called? And apparently, Yoda does know, or did know, where his home was. But, they keep it safe because they're peaceful, light Jedi, or light Force users, They're peaceful. They're not meant to do battle or whatever. So, I think they'll just have to find the planet. And if they do, that'd be big mystery solved for the Star Wars fans and everything.
Right.
Clearly everybody wants to know where it's at, So.
Right, because, we just have Baby Yoda, and the only thing that we know what to call him is
Yoda.
Baby Yoda, that we have no idea where they came from, what they're called, or anything. But kind of going off what you said about Gideon, super strong character. I've seen him in a lot of shows. He always seems to play the baddie. I think he plays the bad guy very well. And a super cool thing that we saw in there was the Mandalorian sword.
Yeah, I think they call it the Darksaber.
The Darksaber, yeah. You've seen it used in
Clone Wars TV show.
Clone Wars TV shows, and I want to say I saw it in Rebels. It's been a long time since I've watched Star Wars Rebels, and every time I've seen that blade, it's beautiful, because that is one of the only blades, besides I believe a vibro blade, in the Star Wars universe that's able to withstand sword to sword combat with a Jedi. So I'm very interested to see where that goes now that we've seen Moff Gideon use it to get out of his TIE fighter after Mando took him to the shop, and kicked his butt. Funniest part of the season finale was, they're like, what do we do? We got the TIE fighters coming in, what do we do? And the guild guy's like, have him do the magic hands, and he's like, magic hands, like, and pretty funny part, at least to me.
I liked it.
Because a lot of times you see Baby Yoda like healing, or doing his little hand thing, and of course Mando's like, nah, I got a jetpack now. We gonna take care of this the Mandalorian way. So the Mandalorian, I think, is a breath of fresh air. John Favreau, I think he's the one that's directed this.
I saw that name for the writer.
Right. Oh yeah, he wrote this, and Takiti directed it. He has been Favreau, however you want to pronounce his last name. He's been killing the industry. He made Elf, he made Iron Man, directed a lot of the Marvel movies and a lot of the live action Disney movies. So he's been killing it, and I actually learned today that not too long ago he was an out of work actor, not being able to, get a job, and here he comes out of the blue and becomes a fantastic writer / director in the film universe, which is super cool because, like I said, everything he's touched so far has been gold in a directing or writing stance. So, Johnny boy, keep up the good work. We're proud of you. You're slaying it in the industry. So, what are some of your favorite parts from the Mandalorian TV series so far?
I'd say this last episode was my favorite because, we get to see the IG unit kick some tail again.
Right.
Got to see Mando do his thing.
Yep.
Got to see the Huntress Mando do her thing with her hammer and her tongs.
You said it best. I have never seen a stormtrooper mask shatter until this episode.
Oh, yeah.
And it was beautiful. Like, she came across with her little hammer. It was just like, shapa! Knocked the mess out. And that was a super cool scene. Some of my favorite scenes so far has been just, the funny things when IG was like, time to self-destruct, and kept going, and he's like, no, stop. That's been really cool. And first time he meets Quill, or this I have spoken guy, and he's learning how to ride the two-legged lizard thingy. that part was very interesting. The show in general, I give it as probably one of my all-time favorite. Up until this, the Clone Wars had been my favorite Star Wars TV show. The Mandalorian takes it, and it takes it by a very large margin. I thought that they did a fantastic job with this series, and I hope season 2 comes back with even bigger explosions and even better writing and directing. I mean, I'm excited for it.
I'm sure it will too, because I mean, you know, when the show starts to get its attention, you know, their budget goes up for the next season, so I'm sure they'll
right
go big with the next one too.
The only thing we have to be careful with is if they let it all go to their head and they try to do it bigger, because sometimes bigger isn't always better.
Oh yeah.
So I hope to see a lot more of, and I'm sure we will, of Moff Gideon in the new season to kind of see, because you saw he knew all 3 of them. He knew a lot about them, and he was one of the ones who, obviously, he took out quite a few Mandalorians himself to have the Darksaber and to be able to know who Mando really is. So I'm excited to see where that story arc goes in the next one. Another awesome show that Jacob has just devoured, The Witcher. He finished The Witcher, and he posted on The Bald and the Bearded that he really enjoyed it. So Jacob, tell us a little bit about what you liked about The Witcher.
If you played the game, I played like 5 minutes of the game so far, of 3.
Did you download it on Xbox?
Yeah, I got it on Game Pass, because I just got another Xbox.
Another one.
Yeah, it's my second one. But
try keeping it this time.
So if you played the game, you know, he has Yennefer and Ciri.
Mm-hmm.
So the show pretty much just shows you how he came across Yennefer and how he came to be with Ciri as well. So
and that's the TV show that's talking about.
Yeah, it's a TV show. So, you know, basically, it starts off like a little before Geralt or Geralt, whichever one it is. Basically, just starts you off a little bit before that. It shows how Ciri's her grandmother's kingdom falls and all that, and then the trials that led up to Geralt finding Ciri and doing his thing with Yennefer, as I'm sure you know if you've watched the show. But I mean, it was very well put together. The CGI and everything was good. All the creatures and everything they had, they weren't like, you know, Bobo looking or anything. So
right, yeah, and playing the game, at least Witcher 3, I haven't played the other Witcher games, you don't get a lot of that backstory of Ciri or Yennefer. So you actually saw Vesemir, right? The older Witcher, the guy that was supposed to be training Ciri, fell asleep in the chair.
I've not made it that far. I haven't even, I've barely played the game.
Well, he's in the first, he's the older Witcher. You must have seen, you had to have seen him by now. So, Mark Hamill, which is Luke Skywalker, wants to play Vesemir. And at his stage in life, I think that he would be very fitting, because he has that older, gruffer looking self now. That's how Mark looks. And Vesemir, you know, he's an older, not in the best shape in the world Witcher. And I think, you know, no offense, Mark Hamill, none of us are in the best of shape. But I think, like, you look at Henry Cavill and you look at Geralt from the Witcher game, that's like a match made in heaven. Like, you could not have picked a better person to play Geralt. And I think Mark Hamill being Vesemir would be equally great and a great pairing. We all know Mark Hamill from quite a few different places. Obviously, Star Wars, Batman the Animated Series, the world's best Joker. I don't think there'll ever be a Joker like Mark Hamill. So, obviously, he has the chops to do it. I think he would be great. Be careful with the game, my friend, because I've played it, and I was like, I am not getting sidetracked on these stupid side missions. Very first mission, hey, do you want to sit down and play a game of Gwent? Sure, I like to learn how to play Gwent. An hour later, I'm like, why am I playing Gwent for an hour? So, yeah, be careful. It is dangerous to dive down, because I know with Red Dead Redemption 2, you've sat down and played poker, and then next thing you know, you've been playing poker for an hour and a half.
It's hard to quit when you're winning.
Right, and it was the same thing with Gwent. I was like, I told myself I'm not going to do this, and here I am doing it. I did the same thing in Skyrim. I'd be walking by and I'd be like, oh, I got to go fight this dragon. Oh, there's a cave. Let's go see what's in this cave real quick. Next thing I know, I'm 3 caves in, 4 elven ruins in. I have ADHD when it comes to games like that.
Oh yeah.
But I will say I have enjoyed the Witcher game. The TV show came out, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make it a point to go play this game because I know I need to. I know it's a good game. It does have, and I feel like we're spoiled because I'm like, I was like 2015 graphics are so bad. And then I go and boot up one of my 360 games, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe the 2015 graphics isn't bad, but like when I booted up The Witcher 3 for the first time, I was like, ugh.
I was thinking the same thing.
And I'm like,
it's hard to play a game with poor graphics and what you're used to.
Right, and I'm like,
I've been going back and playing Skyrim here lately too. You know,
right.
I've been getting in the medieval feel and everything after watching that. So.
And I'm just like, what is wrong with me? I was like, enjoy the game for what it is. This is the same guy who will still go back and play an original Xbox game in Knights of the Old Republic. And I'm just like, you don't complain when you're playing that and everybody looks like clay figures. But I'm complaining about 2015 graphics on Witcher 3. But I have enjoyed the game so far. I learned real quick, make sure you're using the right sword when you're fighting a creature. Because it takes a lot longer to kill creatures when you're using your normal sword. So, there's that tad bit of information. So,
I'll go back to the Star Wars thing about a rumor I heard that there might be a standalone Vader series.
I would be okay with that, because you have a lot of time for when...
I mean, there's a lot of holes in his story, you know, of
right.
different lore and things in the comics that they've seen him do and read about and everything, so...
Because you have up until Phantom Menace, when you brought Anakin Skywalker in, to Episode 2 during the Clone Wars, and the Clone War TV shows, and then Revenge of the Sith. You get his life leading all the way up to becoming Vader, and then once he becomes Vader, you just get, the 3 older movies, A New Hope. And so we only see him in that, but I mean, there's, I would like to see what he did while like Rogue One was going on, because you did notice with Rogue One how it ended. It was the beginning of A New Hope. Oh my God, that scene with Vader coming in. To this day, that's one of my favorite Star Wars scenes in a movie. But I would like to know a little bit more about what Vader did after, Revenge of the Sith and before the prequels, or not the prequels, but the older trilogy. So I'd be excited to see that. And you know what? We didn't even cover in the Rise of Skywalker. I'm just tripping all over my words today. But Boogaboo or Bogo or whatever the little guy's name was working on
Bob, or wasn't it Bob?
Babo or
Something.
Babu, or man, that little guy.
He cracked me up.
He stole the show for me in that one. Just, you couldn't really understand what he was saying, but like he would have the comedic relief right when you needed it. And just frying C-3PO's brain. And so, like I said, all of the entirety of Skywalker, there was not a point that I was like, I'm bored, I want to go home, I don't enjoy this. I enjoyed it all the way through. So, anything else?
That's it for me.
Alright, and I believe that's it for me. Short week, not a lot going on besides a lot of Star Wars stuff and some Witcher stuff. So I'm going to go enjoy some college football. Hopefully see Oklahoma beat LSU today, because I don't like LSU. If you're an LSU fan, I'm sorry, but not really. So that is it for me, and that is it for Jacob. Thank you for watching The Bald and the Bearded. We enjoy bringing you content each week. If you like that content, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, tweet, heart, whatever all those other social media thingy-majigs are. Thanks for watching. This has been Robbie.
And Jacob.
Y'all have a great week.
And the last one?
Yeah.
I'll have to go watch.
Action. Clap.
That's our clap. The kitty clap.